If you are moving to Canton, Michigan with kids, these are 7 neighborhoods I would look at first. Picking the right neighborhood in Canton is one of those decisions that looks simple on paper and feels completely different once real life shows up. A house can look perfect online, check the boxes in person, and still end up feeling wrong if the neighborhood around it does not fit the way your family actually lives. That is why this list matters, because when families say they want a great neighborhood, they usually are not just talking about square footage. They're talking about the school run feeling easier, kids making friends nearby, evenings feeling calmer, and weekends not turning into one long drive between errands, parks, and activities. Canton gives families a lot to work with. You get a suburban setting, a wide range of subdivisions, access to major roads, shopping, parks, and the kind of day-to-day convenience that keeps this area on a lot of moving lists. But not every neighborhood feels the same. Some have more characters, some feel more established, some offer a more traditional subdivision layout, others stand out because they feel different the second you turn in. So in this video, I'm breaking down 7 Canton neighborhoods that families should have on their radar. And the interesting part is this: the best one for your family might not be the flashiest, the newest, or even the one people mention first. By the end, you will know which neighborhoods feel more balanced, which ones feel more distinctive, and which one I think gives many families the strongest all-around fit in Canton. Now, before we jump in, here is how I rank these neighborhoods. This is not just about price, and it is definitely not about saying one neighborhood is perfect for every family. I am looking at the things families usually care about most once the move becomes real. Hi, my name is Saeed Mohsen, a real estate broker here in the Metro Detroit area. If you and your family are looking to make a move this year, make sure to hit the subscribe to check out my other videos on this channel. Now first, community feel. Does the neighborhood feel established, welcoming, and easy to settle into? Second, convenience. How well does it connect to everyday life, whether that means parks, shopping, commuting routes, or just getting around without everything feeling like a project? Third, housing and neighborhood character. Some families want a classic subdivision feel, some want more personality, and some want the move up home vibe. And finally, overall livability. Not just how a neighborhood looks during a showing, but how it is likely to feel on a normal Tuesday. So this ranking is really about helping families narrow the field faster. If you are trying to figure out where to start in Canton, these 7 neighborhoods are worth serious attention, and each one offers a slightly different version of what family-friendly living can look like. At number 7, I'm putting Meadowbrook. And this is a good example of why a neighborhood can be a strong family option, even if it is not the one that gets the most hype. Meadowbrook feels like the kind of place many families can move into without needing a huge adjustment period. It gives off that classic suburban rhythm that a lot of buyers still want. Streets that feel residential, homes that fit into a recognizable neighborhood pattern, a setting that feels comfortable instead of trying too hard to impress you. And for some families, that is exactly the point. Not every great move is about chasing the most dramatic curb appeal or the most talked about subdivision. Sometimes the smartest neighborhood is the one that feels straightforward, stable, and easy to picture yourself living in for years. Meadowbrook fits that kind of buyers really well. It works for families who have a dependable base and not a statement address. It also makes this list because it represents something important in Canton. There are neighborhoods here that win by being practical. They give you an environment where daily life can feel manageable, where the neighborhood itself does not add stress, and where the overall vibe feels familiar in a good way. So Meadowbrook lands at number 7, not because it lacks value, but because the neighborhoods above it bring either a stronger identity, a bigger lifestyle advantage, or a more memorable family appeal. Still, for the right buyer, this is a very easy neighborhood to appreciate. At number 6, we have Windsor Park, and this one starts to raise the bar a little in terms of neighborhood presence. Windsor Park has the kind of name and feel that already sounds like what many buyers picture when they imagine suburban family life. There is something about an established neighborhood with solid curb appeal that creates confidence right away. You pull in, look around, and it feels like people chose this area because they wanted a place that looked settled, cared for, and built for the long term. That matters more than a lot of buyers realize. Families are not just buying a house, they're buying the feeling of coming home after a long day and liking the environment around them. They're buying the first impression guests get when they visit. They're buying the background for birthdays, school mornings, dog walks, and bike rides. Windsor Park has that dependable backdrop quality. Compared with Meadowbrook, this one feels a touch stronger in overall identity. It has more of that established neighborhood confidence that can make a move feel more exciting without making daily life feel complicated. It still fits buyers who want practicality, but it adds a little more polish to the experience. That is why Windsor Park comes in at number 6. It is not here because it is the most unique neighborhood on the list. It is here because it feels dependable, appealing, and easy for a family to grow into, which is often exactly what buyers are hoping to find. Number 5 is Brookside Village, and this is where the ranking starts to get more interesting because Brookside Village is the kind of neighborhood that can quietly win over a lot of families. Here is what I mean. When people first start searching, they often think they need one dramatic feature to know a neighborhood is right. Maybe it has to be the most walkable. Maybe it has to have the biggest homes. Maybe it has to feel like the obvious top choice the moment they turn in. But once families actually tour enough areas, something shifts. They start realizing that the neighborhoods that work best long-term are often the ones that balance everything well. This is where Brookside Village makes sense. It feels like a neighborhood built around the idea of balance, space, neighborhood feel, and everyday practicality, and an overall vibe that many families can see themselves settling into. It may not be the most distinctive entry on the list, but it is one of the most useful because it checks multiple boxes at once. Imagine a family that has looked at several parts of Canton. One neighborhood feels too busy, another feels too far from what they need, another looks great but does not feel worth the trade-offs. Then they get to a place like Brookside Village and suddenly the reaction is different. It is not, this is the most dramatic neighborhood we have seen. It is, this could actually work for us. That is a powerful reaction because it is rooted in real life and not just first impressions. Families who value a neighborhood that feels broadly livable often end up appreciating places like this more and more after the move and not less. So Brookside Village lands in the middle of this list because it offers a strong all-around package. It is the neighborhood for buyers who want something reliable, comfortable, and family-friendly without feeling like they have to overpay for personality or prestige alone. That balance matters more than flash once everyday family life begins. At number 4, I have Fairways at Pheasant Run or Fairways West, depending on which part people are referring to. And this is one of those neighborhoods that can really appeal to families who want their home environment to feel like a little more like a retreat. There is a difference between a neighborhood that is merely convenient and a neighborhood that actually helps your day feel calmer. For families, that difference matters. Life gets loud, mornings get rushed, calendars fill up fast, and when you pull into your neighborhood at the end of the day, the environment around you starts to matter more than most buyers expect. That is the appeal here. Fairways at Pheasant Run has that quietly impressive quality. It feels a little more tucked in, a little more relaxed, a little more like you are stepping away from the noise, even while still staying connected to everything Canton gives you access to. That balance is hard to get right, and neighborhoods that do it well tend to stand out. This is not just about aesthetics, it is about the emotional side of family living. The sense that your neighborhood can support the pace of your life instead of adding to the chaos. Kids can play, parents can excel, and overall environment can feel like it gives you room to breathe. That feeling pushes this neighborhood above the more balanced, practical entries lower on the list. It brings more atmosphere, more of a sense that where you live changes how home feels, not just where home is located. So number 4 goes to Fairways at Pheasant Run because it offers something a little more distinctive than a standard subdivision experience. For families who want a neighborhood that feels calm, polished, and quietly elevated, this is one of the more compelling options Canton has to offer. It also appeals to buyers who want their neighborhood to feel calming when they finally get home, and the emotional payoff can become more valuable over time than people first expect. That kind of feeling can be hard to price upfront. At number 3 is Central Park Estates, and this is where the list starts to feel more aspirational for a lot of families. Central Park Estates gives off the kind of impression that make buyers think beyond the next year or two. This is the kind of neighborhood people often look at when they are not just trying to make a move, they are trying to make a meaningful upgrade. Bigger home appeal, stronger curb appeal, and a more elevated overall presence can change the way a neighborhood feels before you can even step inside a house. That matters because families do not always shop the same way they did with their first purchase. At a certain point, they stop asking only, can this work? And start asking, could this really be the place we stay for a long time? Could this be where the kids grow up? Could this be where the house still feels right, even as life changes over the years? Central Park Estates fits that mindset. It feels more intentional, more established in its appeal, more like a neighborhood families choose when they want the move to feel like progress in a visible, lasting way. And that kind of emotional signal is powerful. There is also something important about the confidence these neighborhoods create. When a subdivision has stronger visual appeal and a more move-up feel, buyers often feel more secure in their decision. They can picture holidays there. They can picture years there. They can picture themselves not needing to start the whole search all over again in a short time. That is why Central Park Estates earns number 3. It brings together the practical value families still need with a stronger sense of arrival. It feels like a neighborhood where the move is not just functional, it feels like a real step forward. That kind of confidence matters when families want a neighborhood that still fits years later. It also helps buyers feel like they are planting roots, not just making a move. And that difference can make the whole decision feel more durable from the very beginning. At number 2 is Cherry Hill Village, and this one is probably the most distinctive neighborhood on the entire list. Some neighborhoods are good, some neighborhoods are practical, and some are appealing. But then there are neighborhoods that create a reaction the moment you enter them. And Cherry Hill Village has that effect. It feels different, more recognizable, more memorable. The architecture, the layout, the sense of place, and more walkable character gives it a personality that many standard subdivisions simply do not have. That matters because a lot of families are not just looking for a house in Canton, they're looking for a neighborhood that feels like it has an identity, something the kids will remember, something that feels charming instead of generic, something that makes daily life a little more interesting without making it less practical. Cherry Hill Village often wins people over emotionally for that reason. It feels like the kind of neighborhood you talk about after the showing, the kind of place where you can imagine taking a walk, seeing familiar faces, and feeling like the neighborhood itself adds value to your lifestyle beyond the walls of the house. And for families who care about community feel, that can be a huge draw. A neighborhood with visible character often creates stronger attachment because it does not feel interchangeable with 10 other places nearby. So why is it number 2 instead of number 1? Because while Cherry Hill Village may be the most unique and memorable option on the list, the top spot goes to the neighborhood that I think works for the broadest range of families. Still, if your priority is charm, identity, and a neighborhood that stands out immediately, Cherry Hill Village may be your personal number 1. For the right buyer, this is the place that feels special from the start, and that is not something every neighborhood can deliver. That is a huge advantage for families who want memorable surroundings and daily charm. It can make ordinary routines feel like a little more special, and that feeling matters long after the moving boxes are gone. And that brings us to number 1, Sunflower Village. And this is the neighborhood that I think gives many families the strongest overall package in Canton. Not because it is trying too hard to impress you, but because it combines the things that usually matter most once real life kicks in. It feels established, it feels family oriented, it feels convenient, and it has the kind of broad appeal that makes it easy to understand why so many buyers keep it on their short list. Sunflower Village has the advantage of feeling like a true community instead of just a collection of houses. That difference matters. Families tend to respond to neighborhoods where the overall neighborhood feels connected, lived in, and built for everyday life. You want a place that still feels good after the excitement of closing day is over, and this one has that kind of staying power. It also lands at number 1 because it feels like the most complete answer to the question families are really asking. Not what is the fanciest neighborhood, not what is the most unusual, but where can we live in a part of Canton that feels established, practical, welcoming, and easy to build our routine around. That is why Sunflower Village takes the top spot. It checks the most boxes for most people. And in a ranking built around family livability, that kind of balance is hard to beat. The broad appeal makes it an easy number 1 for many families, more than people think. So those are my top 7 neighborhoods in Canton for families, and the biggest takeaway is this. There is no single perfect neighborhood for everyone, but there is usually a neighborhood that fits the way your family wants to live. If you want something straightforward and dependable, the lower half of this list gives you good places to start. If you want more atmosphere, stronger curb appeal, or a neighborhood with a more distinct identity, the top half starts to separate itself in a big way. And if you want the strongest all-around option for many families, that is why Sunflower Village ended up at number 1. The key is not just finding a house that looks good online. It is finding a neighborhood that makes normal life feel easier, calmer, and more enjoyable after the move is done. So tell me in the comments, what matters most to your family in a neighborhood? Walkability, quiet streets, bigger homes, community feel. And if you want more content on moving to Canton and living in Metro Detroit, subscribe to the channel and like this video.